Christian theologians of the time. And that was, at that time, it was sort of like it was created from early Christian mysticism. But the clearest definition of how the Trinity could be, for me, what made me understand it, was if you understand through the Hindu tradition. In the Hindu tradition, God is represented in many, many different aspects. He's represented as Ganesh, the elephant god who takes down all barriers. He's represented in many different aspects as Kali, as Lakshma. But there's only one God. It's how we experience God. So we can experience God as truly having been human and understanding us in our grief and our sorrow, because he's experienced it. We can understand God as all things, which would be the Holy Spirit, like all atoms, all molecules. That's one way of experiencing God. So it's how do we experience God? That's the best definition that I could come up with.
And while we're waiting for the next person, a great read is Bart Ehrman's. Everybody can hear me, right? Oh no? Wow. Bart Ehrman's How Jesus Became God is the best read I've ever read in my life, hands down. He's a scholar from the University of North Carolina. Yeah. Chapel Hill. I highly recommend his book. How Jesus Became God. It's by Bart Ehrman. Yes, Bart Ehrman. It's the best written book on how the Trinity came into existence I've ever read. And I've got a shelf full of books about the Trinity.
Hi, my name's Elaine. Can you hear me? Oh, better? Okay. I had it explained to me one time at a conference, and this kind of felt good to me, and it was that, this was a Catholic conference years ago, that God, the Father, was, the God of all of us, and that the Holy Spirit was called the Shekinah, which I can't really remember exactly what that means, but it was the feminine aspect of God. And then, the Son of God was Jesus, who walked among us. And so I kind of liked that, and I was ready to hear that. So that seemed to make sense for me.
In a sense, we have a Trinity right here. The three of us, three of all of us, I should say, the Jewish community, Christian community, Muslim community. And when we have done these kind of events together, thank you, when we've done these kind of events together, it's my impression that people get to enjoy getting to know the Muslim tradition, the Jewish tradition, and Christian tradition, if that's unfamiliar, and particularly to hear the Barku, and with the Phil Glazer, who is the rock star with the shofar. Not even who sings Maria there. Anyway, that song with it goes on for about 15 minutes there. Anyway, but the beauty of the Barku, the Adhan, when Imam Sykes has chanted to chant the Adhan, and to do that in a place, to do that here in the temple. And some people would fear that, but here that's a way of sharing an aspect of God that's been true for a community. Yeah.
We recently had a panel on what it is that makes a blessed community. And I just want to say that one of the things I think makes a blessed community is when people come together like tonight and they agree to disagree. You know, we've lost this art, particularly in the last year in the United States of America. We have lost this art to lovingly disagree. I accept what you say, but I disagree with you. And we can keep talking. So I think that's the beauty of this conversation tonight. And what I'm hearing, it's wonderful for people to speak their reality for different people, and for me to say, yeah, that's great for you, and I respectfully disagree with you.
If I may, I'd like to give you a layman's take on God. God is everywhere, and blessed are those who notice. He tries to communicate with us on a daily basis if we only pay attention and listen. For instance, we're talking about science and technology. Science and technology is explaining to us how our environment is. And it's not what the scientists find, it's something that's already there, and God is communicating with us through scientists and engineers. So if we pay attention, we can hear God speak to us.
I'm retired. I agree with you. It disturbs me because, as I said in my opening remarks tonight, God created us in different tribes, not that we would despise one another, but that we'd get to know one another. And that, when broken down into Arabic, means that it's our responsibility to identify with each other. Not just say, oh, Phyllis is a Jew. Yeah, okay, I got it all now. Well, what does it mean for Phyllis to be a Jew? And what does it mean for Suzanne to be a Christian? And what does it mean for Rania to be a Muslim? What does it say about them? You know, when we meet somebody cursorily, we say they're an acquaintance. When we eat with someone and break bread with them, and if you're a Jew or Christian, have a glass of wine with them, then you're no longer acquaintances. You're friends. Because a barrier has been broken. And so I agree with you, and I'm encouraging it. I've dedicated my life to this work. Like I said earlier, 200 speeches in churches, predominantly colleges and synagogues, trying to build bridges and teach people about Islam because of the ignorance. You can't get any religion from CNN or Fox. You really need to take a class, and you need to talk to people that are practitioners of that religion. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I'm also from New York. Born and bred, you can tell. I got an accent, yeah. And what you just said is like exactly the way I felt too. Never in New York did anybody not know when Yom Kippur was or Rosh Hashanah. The schools were closed, the holidays were there. I was a school secretary for 25 years in the school system in New York, and we celebrated the different holidays, and the children knew about it. When I moved to the villages, it's basically a Christian community. And in my area, in Virginia Trace, my husband and I were the only Jews on the block. And when I spoke to my neighbors, when we were getting to know each other, I never met a Jew. Well, I got the horn sticking up. That's, you want to know, yeah, that's what people, it's funny, but it's serious. That's how people perceive Jews, you have horns. And I made it it was so important to me that my neighbors knew who I was. So Steve and I would bring the people to our home on the holidays. And we had interfaith holidays, and they learned about Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur. And we had an interfaith Passover with Imam, and Naran was there with other people. And it was wonderful, and they're getting to know us. And I volunteer with my daughter in school. She's a teacher in Pasco County. And now today it's all, it's basically immigrant children that are in the schools. And they know nothing about the holidays. My daughter, I was there the same day, we taught them about Hanukkah. She had a menorah in the classroom, and we spoke and we sang, and they learned about Hanukkah. And they loved it. They really loved it. So that's what it has to be. It has to be taught, and it has to be known.
I just had a comment. I believe I can piggyback on a couple of things that have been said, that the most important thing for us to all remember is that we all worship the same God, and God is love, and that if we open up our hearts and we just get to know our neighbors, as Phyllis said, that don't listen to the media or even listen to what someone else says about a person. Get to know people, talk to them, embrace them, because we all have our differences. And until, even with my son, who's 9 years old, I don't seclude him from anything that's going on in school, because it's my responsibility to teach him at home. But he takes part in whatever's going on at school, because that's how we learn to respect other people, is to learn their faith, learn what's important to them, so that you don't disrespect someone and not knowingly, hurt their feelings on a day that's very important to them. So I believe if we just kind of open up our hearts, which most of you here are for, to learn more about each other's faith, but to take this outside of this building and realize that we all have our differences, but God is ultimately, we all worship the same one, and He is love. I just wanted to kind of wrap it up.
Assalamu alaikum.
I believe that we are what we are because our parents were what they were. We all grow up in a home with our parents who are our teachers from the day we're born till quite a while after. I lived in a Jewish neighborhood my whole life. The only thing I knew was the Jewish tradition. I went to Hebrew school. I was bar mitzvahed. I knew every Jewish holiday. I knew how to speak the Jewish language because my parents taught me that, and because their parents taught them that. And I think it's true in every household. When a Christian grows up in a Christian household, he becomes a Christian. And unless something unforeseen happens to change that person's mind, usually it will stay that way. When I was 17 years old, I joined the Navy, and I was on an aircraft carrier for 4 years. When we went to eat in the chow line, I never tasted a piece of ham. I never knew what a shrimp looked like, because that wasn't in my tradition. That wasn't kosher the way we were brought up. I learned to like
ham. I don't eat it all the time, but every once in a while I taste a piece. Shrimp I really do like. I think it's great. But I used to have people in our chow line 5 deep that wanted my shrimp that I would trade for a piece of pie. So, like, what I'm trying to say is we all believe in God. We believe that God is one. That's the way our prayer, our main prayer, the Shema. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. And we've all been given a brain, and we all have thoughts of our own, words of our own that we speak. And I would like to say that I think everyone in this room is intelligent enough to know that some of the things that are going on in our world today are not good. They're not right. And we have to make that good. And I really do believe that through our interfaith, through our understanding of other religions, of other people and how they believe, because it wasn't until just shortly that I know what Muslims are and what they feel, because I know how Jews were during the Second World War and how they felt. And nobody wants that. And I only hope that we can get together in meetings like this and answer questions like this and have something to contribute, that we can show kindness to someone else. Have it in your heart. Love in your heart is the best thing that you can have. And I thank you very much, everybody, for coming. And as a Jew, I would like to say, let's eat.
I believe we have one more. Yeah.
Food will have to wait.
Yes, let's eat. I like that. I will try to make this short. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Tariq. That means peace be upon you. I had a question for the pushy, penny pinching character in the play. Muslims believe in paradise, and that's the reward, and the Christians believed in heaven. And I don't know if I missed it, but they asked a question also, like, what was your reward benefit? And I didn't hear. For being good, what was the reward after life for Jews? Matzo balls?
That God is in us all. Yeah, that.
So that you'll just recycle?
Yeah, I'm recycling as 5'10", all legs and blonde.
Wow. Look me up when you come back.
What's that?
Look me up when you get back.
You're number 2 in line. I'd like to thank everybody for being here with us and participating. And I just got to tell you one quick stereotype. It's a little bit funny that we've experienced when we came down here. As it's been expressed, we came from a major metropolitan area. So ignorance of others' religions was not something that we had lived with. And the first day that I put a motorhome in my driveway, my friend and neighbor from Kentucky ran up to me and he says, "Oh my gosh, Steve, what are you doing? You're going camping. Jews don't camp." And he meant well. Terry meant well. I know he's not prejudiced. And I said, "Terry, don't you realize we invented it? 40 years of the tent, up and down, up and down. Have some cookies and cake and some coffee and enjoy yourselves. Thank you."